Let's talk about creating safe spaces in Castro.
Did somebody say recovery?
Let's talk about meetings, sex and recovery.
Sober sex? Did somebody say dick?
Let's talk about mental health. Let's talk about...
Welcome. You are at the CCC.
Where there are no outside issues with Bonnie Violet
And Lulu.
Each week, we will provide and create a brave space where we engage in conversations around topics of recovery.
And our intention is to inspire better spaces for more people in recovery.
By tackling topics used to separate us.
But before we start, please share, do whatever you do so that we can get the word out.
Don't Madonna it, share it.
Absolutely. How are you doing, Bonnie?
I'm good. How are you? Sorry, my throat was like a little hoarse there.
That's okay. It's like a good weekend.
Fun weekend, I guess. Yeah,
exactly.
It was Pride.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was a great weekend. How about you?
Weekend was absolute. Oh, it was so much fun. I mean, it's a nice little segue. And this lovely person sitting in between us because we were together a lot this weekend.
Yes, we were.
And who are you? Why don't you tell us who you are?
Hey, everyone. My name's Lauren Vega, and I'm happy to be here. Yeah, we spent a lot of time together, both Saturday and Sunday.
Absolutely.
Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit.
I'm almost certain we will.
Well, not all of
Right.
it. Not what happened in the bathroom.
There's some of it can't be told, huh?
We're going to keep that part to ourselves.
I know,
Right,
exactly.
I mean-
it's like we get an NC-17.
Just make it
rating.
recovery related. It's all good.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I was
Yeah, he recovered after.
Just wrap it in sobriety. You're fine.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, because recovery is just such a broad topic.
It is,
Right.
Right on,
Right.
right on. So, Lauren, I know that we didn't have a bio for you, but you want to tell the children what you do, what you bring to this beautiful world.
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
Briefly, I know
Briefly.
we could take the whole
Like
hour.
which
No,
version?
exactly.
Yeah, which version do I tell?
I feel like the things that you like, how we have those things that we're most kind of like proud about, most kind of connected to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny. I took an Uber here,
Uh-huh.
and the Uber driver, somehow, I don't know how, but he brought up HIV/AIDS.
Okay.
Oh wow.
So we were talking about that, and in my work, I work for a nonprofit, PRC, and we were talking about the stigma around HIV/AIDS, and so I was flashing back on the fact that I had moved here with 8 friends, and sadly, they're all gone. So yeah, it got me thinking about being 16, moving to San Francisco, trying to find my place, and become my authentic self. I did come here as someone else, sort of, and just kind of blossomed into this person. I think I'm trans. So the fact that I'm trans, it doesn't define me completely, but it is something that I celebrate. I used to hide it. I used to be stealth, and it mattered. I mean, you could be killed, right? You didn't get that job, you didn't get that apartment. So you were always on the DL about your gender. And so I think my transness in the world, and I'm just traveling, all the people I met, the relationships I had, and then eventually finding recovery. I think that's a big part of who I am.
Nice.
And I don't know where to look. I keep going like that.
You're
So
fine. You can just whatever makes you feel
Is this the
comfortable.
camera
Well,
right
we
here?
struggle because it's like half the time I'm looking down. I'm
I know. I'm like,
twiddling my thumbs. That's like just not used to that. So this is honestly the way that you lay that out and talk about it really speaks to the topic that we chose today. And I think that we struggle with like how to kind of word it, but really, honestly, I don't think it's about the topic.
right.
How we say the topic is about the discussion itself. this idea of otherness. And I think that in some ways we all experience it, no matter what your background is.
Yes.
It's just that some for more obvious reasons experience it a little more kind of intensely. So for you, like, I guess a question that I would have in going through what you've gone through, whatever, and then coming into recovery, did that feeling, kind of some of the feelings that you had before, play into like your recovery?
Yeah, I think that whenever I go into new environments, whether it's a new job or a recovery, you fill it out, you wait for those who are going to clock you, and then those who don't know. And, these thoughts go through your mind. You can't deny it. I don't care if people say, no, I don't think about it. No, you think about it.
Yeah.
And there's a certain look that you get when people know. But the truth is, I really don't give an F, but you still think about it, right?
Yeah.
So coming into recovery, I did, for the most part, straight recovery at the beginning. And I liked it, and I did come to one meeting here in the Castro on Diamond at MHR, 6 p.m. on Fridays, and I really liked that meeting. And that's kind of how I broke into the community. But I didn't come to the country club for like almost like a year and a half of my recovery because I was afraid of you guys.
We get it.
I was afraid. I'm like, who are all these people on these? Can I cuss? No.
Yes, you can.
You can.
Okay.
You know what's interesting? Okay, so maybe kind of to really kind of like lay out the conversation. I think that we all come in like I know you've heard stories where people say, well, I came into recovery and there are all these established relationships or whatever, and I already felt awkward, uncomfortable or whatever, so I didn't know how to kind of get in. And unfortunately, what tends to happen is that we use what we know how to use, like whether or not it's our sexual, whatever, anything. And these are things that are
Humor.
They humor. Exactly.
Humor.
Because I came in like cracking jokes. I thought I was like a comedian, and I thought like, oh God.
Right.
Well, no, but I mean, it's one thing to be funny when I'm not concerned about being funny. Another thing when I'm using it as a way
as a tool
to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you knew who I was, you wouldn't accept me.
You might not like me.
Yeah, you might not like me.
Yeah.
And because that fraud thing coming in, and I mean, of course, we're all fortunate enough to know now that we belong because we say we belong.
Yeah.
But coming in, that's not the case.
Yeah. Well, recovery for me though, I think until I got into recovery though, I didn't live very integrated. Like I had a life over here and a life over there, and like the two never crossed. And I think for me, like I never was able to come out about my like it took me a long time to talk about my gender in recovery. Like it's been part of my journey for almost a decade, and I'm only just now talking about it in some of the rooms, and that's because I was scared.
Yeah.
I was really scared about like losing my recovery and my recovery community because I'd become so dependent on my recovery community that I couldn't imagine losing it. And you do start to lose. Things just change a lot.
Things change.
Yeah,
and the relationships that you have and how the world sees you changes, and it just causes a lot of just change. I don't know that it's good, bad, or otherwise, but it's a lot of change, and it can be very disorienting at times, but also like so worthwhile. And I don't know, it just feels good, even though it's like a little scary at times,
scary,
I guess.
And you want to know your place.
Yeah.
So, you've established yourself as a certain person in the rooms, and then if you transition or you evolve or you change in any different way, then all of a sudden it's like, do I still fit in with these people? Will they still love me? Will they still accept me? Or now do I have to find a new tribe, right? Because within community and within recovery, we have our tribes. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
We have our peeps.
And they're constantly changing. Like I'm thinking about what you're saying. Like when you come out, like, first of all, you were talking and I was thinking mind blown, because it's like, I thought that I was going to just have to come out once. And that was tough enough. But then to have to keep coming out. And I think we have to keep coming out as we start to understand more about ourselves. As like a Black man, I think that growing up, I was always in situations where I was other. Like I had a friend who said, I was like a fly in a bowl of milk. situations where I was one of maybe a few, and I think the way that I dealt with it is I kind of brushed off the feelings that's in the things that I was feeling. I didn't honor them in the way that I needed to.
Right.
And so for whatever reason, I pushed them down, and I talk about this all the time, but it's that beach ball effect. You push it down in the water, it's going to come back.
Right back up.
And it showed up. I showed up at one meeting one time. I remember the person that was speaking to the group was very kind of someone that I absolutely love and adore, but they were speaking about something that I didn't know. I didn't have the language for. What it turned out to be was privilege. And I was listening to a story that they were saying and talking about traveling. And if you get an opportunity, you should go to this meeting on the beach in Australia. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Who's getting to Australia?
Yeah, who knows?
I can barely make it here. Huh?
I know. And at the time, I because I hadn't been working through it, it became something other. It became about
a resentment.
Me being a black man, and after doing some work, and I realized that it was about my resentment toward privilege.
Exactly.
And even in that, I didn't understand. Maybe I had some privilege or whatever, but I don't know. It makes it really difficult to kind of get out of your head, get out of your way when you're constantly like judging everything around compared to how you feel
to ourselves.
Right. And I think the three of us, we've been in recovery a little bit for a while. So I think we're always like, for me, when I'm thinking of the otherness, it's like how I see myself as the other, not necessarily how everyone else puts me in this otherness, where I think when I first came in to recovery, I felt everyone else was looking at me as another, if that makes sense.
No,
and so it was more
does.
about what everyone else was seeing about me. Whereas now it's just like, I can choose, or I can get hung up on the way that I feel othered or different or separate from the people in the rooms, whether it's my gender, whether it's where I'm from, whether it's my age, whether it's how long I've been in the program, like whatever it is that I want to decide to make myself, be outside of the crew.
It's like the longer you stick around, the more comfortable you get with the scene, right? It's like
well, and where you fit in it.
Where do you fit? And I honestly, I did come in here. I was at the Most Holy Redeemer, like I said, Friday nights at 6.
Nice plug.
Yeah, and I wanted to be somebody there.
Yeah.
That was my whole plan. I wanted
absolutely.
to be liked. I wanted to be part of that clique. I would look at you all.
You see people that like have like kind of what you think you want.
Yeah,
and like I'm gonna be that person.
That's what I want, and I want to be in that circle, and I want to chit chat with them, and I want to smoke with cigarettes with them, and go get coffee with them, and then. But I was too afraid to go to fellowship after, so I wouldn't go. Because I was too afraid that they were going to judge me. I wouldn't fit in. I wouldn't be funny enough. So it's just like when you start high school, when you start your first day of school, it totally felt like that. It brought up all these emotions. And I did become that. And I think it's because of commitments, right? So I was the greeter. That's my first thing I did. And that that's how I met people. I always recommend that
really
to my sponsees. Become a greeter. Now that things are opening back up, you can actually touch people. I used to hug people. I used to cop a feel whenever
you touch people if you want to.
I would rub chests.
Exactly.
Well, they let
with consent, of course, right?
With consent, but they let me rub all up on them. They like to rub my boobs. And stuff. So,
I know.
It's a mutual thing.
No,
so give me a little, I give you a little.
Right.
It works.
So something that I did, like, because I struggle coming in, and for it's important if you're watching, you're listening now, and you have stories of otherness, please like share, and we will try to include you in this conversation, because I think again all of us experience that in some way or the other. I used to always say like when I was in treatment, like I'm gonna look for a program where it's nothing but gay black men, all named Lewis, my age, same, born around.
Did you find it?
No. No. I mean the point that I was making is like, if you take away all the variables that lend themselves to this idea of otherness, maybe that would help. But the truth of it is that then I can go like with my recovery with a fine tooth comb and find other things because if I'm struggling, at all, especially in the beginning. I'm always looking for some reason for me not to fit in
and not to show up.
And this is perfect. It's a perfect like excuse. They don't like me because I'm this. Or they don't like me because I'm that. So I think that even though like you were saying, it's like in the beginning, I was thinking about how others place me, and now it's always about us. Well, it's always about how it's always about
yeah. Well, in the beginning though, it is really important to like hang on the sameness, like wherever you see the sameness, and just like attach to that and fuck the difference, right?
Exactly.
But then the longer I've been in program, I learn more from the differences and the different people and the different ways that people recover and the different ways that people live their lives. Like that's really where I grow. And that's where, but initially I really had to get grounded in that sameness, because I think there was a lot of that feeling isolated and alone. Like that was part of the sickness of my addiction.
And that's why you sit in the back.
Exactly. Right.
But I have to tell you both that,
I'm all excited.
I know, right? Tell me.
As a trans woman, okay, this is just in life. When you see one of your peeps, you clock each other, right? You give each other this look, and you're like, okay, I see you, girl. And then it's like, I'm going over here and you're going over there, and we're going to scope each other out. Like we're going to do this little dance to see if you're cute enough or whatever enough for me to say hello to. And I see who you're hanging with, and you see who I'm hanging with. And it's this whole thing. And that's just how it is for trans women in life.
I think it's the same for Black people, because
probably
I can even tell if you got a few drops of black in you. If you got any kind of spice, I'm all. I see you, honey.
Right.
I see you, honey. And I made it like, it's because of recovery that I made it a point. Like one of the things that I do is I think about how I was when I showed up. And so when I see a new young Black person, or anybody, but mainly like when I see other Black especially young gay men, I feel like I have a responsibility. And so I try to go, and mind you, basically I will go as much as I can and make them feel welcome, and I've had situations where they couldn't accept it, because it's, because obviously it's like you come in with all the trauma and everything that you have. And it's like, I mean, I usually try to make it a point, like say, you know what, I just want to make you feel welcome. I'm not here for anything else. Okay. Check, please. I know where you've been. I was there.
I have to scope you out and know you.
Right.
And
I know exactly. But it's true. And what you were saying, it's like, okay, so I think that like I found folks who I felt comfortable with, who I felt safe with. And it was fortunate that I knew some folks from before. And so even though I felt like I was being a nuisance and whatever, I gravitated towards them. I gravitated, like at a party, it's like, I'm all, okay, I need to stay with you and what have you. And you do that enough and you do the work or whatever, you eventually get to a place where you can venture out and, like you said, come into the country club and not be afraid of. And I don't know. I think that the way this conversation can be really beneficial to someone who's feeling that right now is for us to talk about like our experiences and how like the things that you soldiered through or person through or whatever, however we want to kind of overcome.
Yeah. At the end of the day, though, it's about trust, trusting and about feeling safe, right? Like I want to feel safe. I'm in this room. We have something in common. And I see the camaraderie and I hear the message, and I hear myself in a lot of these messages, but still, I need to trust you. And by the way, there's not a lot of trans women in these rooms. So I don't see myself necessarily. I mean, I've always identified as female. So I'm always, with cisgender women typically, just because there's more of them in the rooms. And then, like I said, now and again, there's other trans women in the rooms, and then you just kind of scope each other out. And if you think, okay, I think she's cool, then I'm going to go and kick it with her. But there's always this thing. It's another podcast to talk about that, because it's real. It's just a whole, there's these different layers of it that, and it happens really fast, right? It's not like it's over weeks and months. No, it's like in that first time we see each other, and it's like, Some girls will just say, "Hey, mama," and then or "Hey, sis," and then that they're cool. But sometimes they're scoping you out and they're hating you just because.
Yeah,
Right.
Because there's only so much for us, so we got to get our piece. And if there's only so much of that pie that's allocated to us, so it's like I need my I need my piece.
No, exactly.
And I'm going to fight for that one.
And it's hard to
belongs
no,
to
I
us.
get it. It's like when folks think that there's only so much for us that I have to fight and scrape, and that's probably how they've been living.
Yeah,
how they've been living.
For real.
Yeah,
it's true.
No, I
need my piece of that pie.
Right.
So what, like, have meetings that are specific to maybe trans been helpful for you?
They have.
Yeah, because it's like I think that I've heard discussion like on both sides. Some people feel like, oh, you're segregating this, that, or whatever, these specialized meetings. You know what? Sometimes, like I said, like I was joking about it, sometimes when I walk in the room and I see people who get it, like I remember getting a sponsor at one time just because after that experience with this feeling of whatever I was feeling, I was toxic and whatever, I was like, I need to find me a Black gay man who is going to get it, because I was at the point in my life where I am not interested in explaining to you. And that was new because I am of a place, I believe, there are some people like are so frustrated and they're all, I'm not going to educate you. You need to figure it out for yourself. But I have always thought, like, for me, because I want to be an advocate, because I want things to change, like even if I get frustrated, there's a piece of me that still needs to be willing to kind of help, to educate, to have a conversation, and no disrespect to how anyone else does it. I can only do it how I do it.
Right.
Yeah.
How has it been for you negotiating being the other in the room? I feel like sometimes when you're the only one that's like in that room, then sometimes it feels like you either represent that person or you're having to explain. So I guess, could you share some experience about feeling like you're the other in that room, or maybe if you're in a room where you're not? I mean, like kind of talking a little bit about that might be good.
So, going back to when I came out when I was a teenager, there wasn't a community of trans folks, right? We were just scattered and hiding, basically living our lives out in the suburbs or something. And so,
in the suburbs,
with our husband and the picket fence and the dog. I had all that. Okay. I did have all that for several years. But I was always embraced and welcomed by gay men my whole life. My entire life. That was my people. That was my community. They protected me. They threw down for me. And so when I came into the rooms, it just made perfect sense that I would come to this community, and knowing that I'm not going to probably see a lot of trans, non-binary, gender non-conforming folks. But I still see people that I love and that love me back. And I'm that bad bitch that they love. And so I don't mind being this person. And, I'm welcome and protected. It goes back to being safe, right? And trust. And I've always trusted and I've always felt safe. I've always, there's a time when trans women and even cisgender women couldn't go into gay bars because gay men didn't want them in there. This is our bar. What are you doing in our bar? I could always go in that bar, right? I would always be in that bar. I would be propped up on a chair, and that I was just lucky that way. But not all girls are that fortunate to get that kind of welcome. They're
well, I don't think they want the wedding parties there.
Right.
You can do your bachelor party
somewhere else.
Take that crown off.
Right.
And that sash.
I know, and that
take
dick,
it somewhere else.
That dick sucker.
The dick lollipop. Take that out of here and take it someplace else, because this is our space, right? Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. I think that what I did was what we do in small towns or whatever. Like, there's part of me that wants to feel like I'm fabulous. Like, I used to do this thing. I'd go to the End Up, and at the time when I was really kind of messy with the crystal meth, I would I was telling my sponsor this. I would do this thing when I thought people were kind of shading me or whatever. I would check my breath. I'd look at my face in the mirror, check my clothes, make sure everything's fine. I'd think about who I was with, and then I would go larger. And I would go larger and I would exaggerate, because I want you to want,
to see me.
I'm not, I don't want you to see my insecurities. I don't want you to see that maybe I'm feeling less than or whatever, but I want you to believe that I'm more than what I am.
Yes.
And so it took a while. It took a while. It actually took a friend of mine, rotisserie, coming into the rooms and her behavior shone a light on how I was behaving, and that was like, whoa, okay, if that's me, then I need to pull back. And it didn't happen overnight.
No,
It didn't happen overnight, and I feel like I'm in a place where I still have work to do, but I like this version of me a lot better.
Yeah.
yes.
And I'm also the type, like, you know what? I don't have space in my life for everybody all the
Right.
time.
Yeah.
And so if what you see you're not liking, then that saves me. It's a way I sort
Yes.
through the bullshit, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, I think like the more time you get, the more comfortable you feel, and then you kind of figure yourself out. And you know, I put myself out there so much. You know, I would pick people up and drop them off, and my sponsor would be like, "Oh, you're so caring," but you got to start to think about boundaries, right? Around who you go pick up, where you drop them off, who you give money to, and all these other things. And then eventually, with time, I started realizing that, you know what, you can't help everybody.
Oh God, no.
And you gotta, you know, focus on yourself, like they say, right? Save yourself so that you can help others. So that, you know, that I had the same sponsor my first time around for 7 years. So she was really wise, and she just kind of let me, you know, do my thing. And if you're gonna fail, she'll let me fail and figure it out myself.
As a gift.
It's a gift.
Yeah.
How about you,
is an
Bonnie?
art.
Oh, I'm listening. I'm really loving what I'm hearing, and my mind is like spinning. But I think one of the things that I was thinking of back home, getting sober in Idaho, it was mostly straight meetings that I got sober in. And I remember the reason why I had a hard time getting recovery in the gay meetings was because I felt, well, eventually, like even after a few months or a year, I had the most time in the room, and so it felt like I had to be like the correct, like, gay in recovery, you know what I mean? And it really allowed me just to be honest and to be real about what was going on in my life. And so it was a really hard thing, and still is sometimes a difficult thing for me to negotiate as I get more time, is feeling like I'm supposed to be a certain way all the time and do all the things. And sometimes it's easier for me to fall into a space where I can be the other in the room.
Yeah.
And then I can feel like I can go under the radar. I can share that I felt like I didn't want to live anymore. I could share that I had it, like whatever it was that I was going through, I could share in that meeting, that I had a little bit more harder time, to be honest, sharing in the rooms with the people that I felt like and that again was my own like fault, or like my own issues, if you will, feeling like that I'm not able to be honest, basically,
so,
with my fellows.
So
Judgment.
in some ways, that otherness can be beneficial too, huh?
Totally.
Yeah.
It's all how you relate to it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's how you put it out there too. You know, it's like my wall's up.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, but you know what? I'm just kind of an outgoing person in general. And I'm, you know, humor is really important to me. So I think, I don't know, I haven't had a lot of experiences that a lot of my sisters and brothers have. And I think it's just a gift. It's an art. It's my way of survival. And I'm pretty smart. And, you know, I've been in sales and marketing, so I could sell anything and figure shit out. And it's like, you know, you work the room, honey. You walk in, you know what's up. You see people, you just get a temperature, right? You take the temperature wherever you're walking into. And then you just realize that, you know what, I belong here just as much as anybody, and just the same as in the rooms. That chair is for me, just like it's for you. And if you don't like me, once you get strong enough to realize that you're worthy of recovery, you're worthy of this life that recovery can give you. Just, you know, if you stick around, you get to this place, right? Where we're at.
Exactly.
Like I'll have 8 years on September 17th.
Yay.
And so it's like, I think around my 5th year, 6th year is when I started feeling like, I think I'm in this secret unspoken club that nobody talks about, but people are looking at me differently because now you have time under your belt.
Exactly.
And what are you doing? And you have a responsibility, like you said before, about having a responsibility to show up. When I see my young trans and non-binary, gender non-conforming folks, that I go up to them and I talk to them and I let them know that they're welcome, that this is a safe place for you, because it's scary, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think a big part for me is, like, you know, getting over my cheap self and you know, and
Gee,
getting over,
Bridget.
because as I fall back into the places where I slip into those where they don't want me around. They don't want me around.
Mhm.
I usually ask my higher power to
Yep.
be the louder voice.
Mm.
And
Oh, I love
what I
that.
do is
I love that.
it's important for me to continue being of service, even if I don't want to be, because
Right.
I think that, you know, we do in some ways have a responsibility, but that responsibility is greater for recovery. I think the thing that when I'm at my best in recovery, if there's a such thing, is when I'm able to kind of be real and honest about what I'm going through. Like when
Mhm.
I'm having a shit day, and because I like to say, like, I'm going to process the hell out of it. You know, I don't care if you don't want to hear it, because I'm trying to save my life, or at least feel better. I'm trying to get through this with grace. And if I'm messy about it, and I don't know, you know, it's that, in that realness, and not me trying to kind of put up airs or whatever that's going to reach the person who it needs to reach.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. I love that.
What would you say to folks who are, you know, coming into recovery spaces and they're not hearing their gender talked about, or they're feeling, or they like, it's racist, it's misogynist, it's sexist, they're having these experiences. What would do you have any words of advice
Well,
or
I mean,
suggestions for them?
all the stuff you just said, it's racist, it's misogynist, it's all these things. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, wherever we go, you're going to find that.
Yeah.
But what I would say to somebody who walks into a room of AA, CMA, wherever, and they don't see themselves, right? You scan the room and you generally sit in the back. I would say to just stay, for sure, be patient. Those folks, you know, like Liz was saying, that we go up to people that care and that are like really in it for the, I don't know, I don't want to say for the right reasons, but they're in it for, I don't know, just to pass the message along, right?
Yeah,
The way that the big book
spiritual.
says all of this stuff is because we pass the message along, right? So there are people like us, more than the three of us. There's a lot of us in these rooms. And I would just say, just be patient, just show up. And eventually people will start talking to you. And most important, announce yourself as a newcomer.
Yeah.
That's so important. It's like, we don't know you if you don't say something. It's so hard to say something when you're afraid.
Exactly.
And when you don't see yourself, it's really hard. But I would just say stick around.
It's in conjunction with this idea of finding a tribe. I think that you find folks that you trusted support, and people that you can have conversation with. And that's why, like in early recovery, having a group of people that I could run with, that I could be completely messy with, whatever, you know, and whether or not I'm presenting it in a joking way or whatever, but having folks that I kind of feel can be sloppy with. Can be completely kind of irreverent and whatever, and have those discussions, especially if I don't feel safe or comfortable enough to have those conversations with the folks that I need to have the conversations so that things can change.
Right.
Also, it's like, it's a relationship with, like, if I'm really kind of committed to working on the relationship I have with my sponsor, ideally I get to have those conversations. It took me a while. I mean, because I've had to change sponsors because I felt like, yeah, you know what, you're trying to convince me of something else, and I'm not buying what you're selling. And I need and you know, it takes a while, and I have to take in consideration too, because I'm a different energy, you know, like you said, I'm up.
You are.
Even when I was at my lowest, I still have this kind of strength that some people see, that whatever, and it can keep, you know, folks from realizing that, like, I'm a mess and I need love and I need support.
But you have power.
And so but I know that there are folks who don't have that, and I've worked with a number of them, and I really, the best thing I can do is, in the most loving way, is to encourage them to do the best they can with what they can, when they can. I mean, because it's like, it's helped a lot that, like, when we do the work together, we talk about these things, and then you take chances when you can take chances. Something we were talking about, like, okay, so I feel like the three of us are activists in, in our own right, and in finding your voice and like coming and figuring out your identity or whatever. All of a sudden, the things that were important are no longer important. Like I'll use example, go back to the whole thing after George Floyd.
Yeah.
And I won't go too deep in this, but I accepted microaggressions. I accepted them. I just brushed them off because I'm a reverend. I think it's funny. Because I didn't think that they affected me. But I spent my time around a lot of people who had all of these jokes and whatever that really kind of were tearing away at my soul.
Yes.
And it wasn't until recently like, okay, you know what? This is no longer acceptable in my life. And it is tough when you believe something and nobody around you believes, like maybe they think, oh, you're just being emotional or whatever. It's like, and that's another way to feel other. But it's something that was so absolutely important to me. And I think the blessing in this is that it took all this work to get, because if it had come up before, I probably would not have been able to do it right. Yeah. I probably would have showed up here with a machine gun. You motherfucker.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think some of the things that I like would encourage people that, like there is a lot of language and there's a lot of things that are done in ways that are not very inclusive. And I just give people permission to like change the words. Like if you're reading a prayer or you're doing some sort of step work, like you can take out the word God, you can change the gender of what you're talking about. You can remove triggering shit. Like there is, I mean, it's like at the end of the day, it's like, what do you need to be okay with? And it's a hard balance because you can only take so much. And I only know what it's like to be the other in the ways that I am. I'm not a person of color, so I don't know. I can't speak to what that's like, or, when you have to say uncle, and not be in a space or find something else or whatever. But I mean, and we're kind of in a space of privilege in the sense that we're like in fucking San Francisco.
Bubble.
Like there's so many places where they're like, they can't go to another meeting or they can't, like they don't have much choice. So it's like, how do you still get the gift of recovery? It's like, and I think you just have to, because we all did it, no matter how great it was or how cool the rooms we found, it was still really fucking difficult. And we had to sit through some really difficult things that were not, I mean, to me, I grew more because of sitting through those. And for me, it was a lot of God issues. I have a lot of God trauma. So me having to say the Lord's Prayer, which is a very minor thing, as nothing, I'm not trying to relate it to anything,
but it's not that minor.
But I had to say it at the end of every meeting, and I got okay with it. I mean, that was important for me to do in order for me to stay sober, really.
I think it's a blessing if you I mean, every day that you participate in this game called recovery, I mean, it's a gift. It's a gift because like I came in thinking like, you know what, I have to be vigilant. I have to be absolutely vigilant because this is brand new to me. This is absolutely brand new. I can't take anything for granted. And it helped me. It served me. It's like, but for you lovelies that are out there that, where it is not so easy, forgive yourself, be gentle with yourself. You know what? Get back up on the horse if you fall off, if you get frustrated, if you get lost, if you feel like it's never going to get better or whatever. And just do the best that you can. That's all you can do,
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I was so afraid of being judged, right? So that's why I sat back and just watched until I felt safe. All you can do is, you just have to be patient. And it's really hard in early recovery to be patient, right? It's like you're not trusting people. I don't even know if I believe this shit that y'all are talking about. And it's
that's a second step. Just hope you're not full of shit.
And it's like when I went to a program, it was called CDRP at the time, and we had to do 2 meetings a day. So I always got one meeting out of the way right away. And then the second meeting was after a group, and it's, what's it called? over in the marina. I forget that place that was there forever.
Dry dock.
Dry dock.
Yeah.
So dry dock is where everybody went. Just because it's close, you take one bus, you get that meeting out of the way, you get your little card signed, and then you go on about your business. Which for me, it was like shopping, the Goodwill or whatever. And that's again with the tribe. I found my little tribe at CDRP. I'm like, okay, I like these people. These people are cool. Let's hang out. Let's go have lunch. Let's go shopping, and let's get our meetings out of the way and let's connect. But after a while, you realize that they're not in it for the same reasons or the reasons that I think are important.
You gotta
and
move.
so then you got to move on. You got to drop some of those people because I'm not playing this with you. And you know what? I don't play a lot of shit that's not related to cover recovery. I don't play along just to play along, right? That's never been me. So I'm just saying that I've been in these rooms where there's a lot, like there was mostly old white guys, like with tons of recovery.
Where?
At Dry Dock. At Dry Dock. And I'm like, oh my God. And then these women, a couple of women was like, you got to come to the women's meeting. So I said, all right, let me go to the Tuesday night women's meeting. And honest to God, it's just all these very marina-ish gals. And I'm like this Latina, like, trans girl, not that they know or don't know, which I don't care.
Right.
But I'm like, oh my God, her poor privileged ass did not get to get that newest, iPhone, poor thing, or whatever. And I'm here with my little free flip flop.
Right.
And I'm just like, you don't know what suffering is. But the truth is that's just me judging. That's me taking someone else's inventory.
Yep.
And I'm told I'm not supposed to do that. So it's a battle because I'm always doing it. But it's a second thought that counts, right?
It's the one that you don't. It's the one that you don't.
That's what they say, right?
The first thought is okay. It's the follow-up thought.
The first cut is the deepest. Oh, the first thought.
Oh no, not white shoes after Labor Day. No.
Right.
No. But
well, we're like right almost at the end.
I know. And you know what? This is a conversation that can take on like this is just one kind of moment in time, but this is something that we can continue talking about because it's like there's so many different ways to feel other. And if you feel other, it's like I think that it's important to note that like sometimes it is you can expect anything that you really want. You are going to be sitting through some discomfort,
for sure.
And because it's not going to get better around it. It's not going to get better right away. But like it's one of those things where it's like I always say, if it's tingling, that means it works. It's working. And you're not just sitting in accepting it. But the last thing I would say, I started this group long time ago on Facebook. It's Black Girls Cookout, and it was for like. Obviously for Black girls, and because we wanted to do a cookout live one, but nobody had a house that a bunch of people they wanted a bunch of people to come into. So we decided, well, why not just do it virtually? And it's nice because we have been able to kind of have conversation, reflect, share like things that are going on, invite new people in, and it's a great way to because I think that any kind of network group or whatever that helps. This process along is a good thing.
Right. Yeah. And if any of you folks aren't from around here and you're needing to connect with folks that are more like yourselves, like there's 3 of us that you could reach out to us via this podcast or, we live in a time in which there's so much recovery online and in digital spaces, everything from just like fun shit, like on Twitch or YouTube to like, more like, I don't know, spiritual shit, if you will, like on podcasts or, things like that. So even if you are in a space where it might feel like you're all alone and you're very different, try to see what you can to connect with other folks too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You can research, you can we do this non-binary gender non-conforming. And I like that meeting that they totally like chopped up the script and just turned it into something that initially rubbed me wrong. I'm like, oh no, they did not do all this.
Right.
But the truth is that's what they need to do to stay sober and to work the program, right? So it's like whatever it takes. And like you said, you can find meetings for specific groups of folks like gender nonconforming, trans. And I do find like BIPOC meetings and all that. I do feel like I'm with my people.
Yeah. And I mean, I think you can even like follow hashtags on Instagram or TikTok, and you can find community to kind of connect with whatever sort of recovery that, and it might seem like not enough, but that little stuff can be helpful sometimes.
Yeah. So you can reach me on my Instagram. It's at LouieLou86. And if you want to direct message me, I can give you my information. Anything, yeah.
I love that. And I think best for me, because I'm just rebuilding my Instagram because I got kicked off of it. Somebody hacked me. I didn't do anything wrong.
Sure.
I did nothing wrong. Swear to God, I was just kicked off. My thing was it was hacked. So go ahead and reach out to me through my email, which is Lauren DeVita, LaurenDevida, Lauren DeVita. That means Lauren of Life.
Nice.
At Gmail.
Awesome.
At Gmail.
And you can find me, Bonnie Violet, at A Queer Chaplain on anything, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, wherever, YouTube.
Thank you so much for
Oh,
being
yes,
on.
thank you,
This went by
Lauren.
fast. This
So
is
glad
really
that
I
fun.
know. It's like a
How
zip
long have we
line.
been talking for?
I like 45 minutes,
45
47 minutes to be
What?
exact. Yeah.
This does not fit. I was
Right?
like
Exactly.
nervous
It
at
It's like,
first.
So I want to remind you that the Castro Country Club is a clean and sober gathering place for all people and a home for the queer recovery community. We're located in the heart of the Castro district of San Francisco, and we endeavor to be a space where all can seek wisdom, serenity, courage, and joy. And you'll find more information at castrocountryclub.org.
be sure to tune in every Tuesday with us here at 6 p.m.
Oh, at 4 p.m.
4 p.m. Sorry, that's the old notes.
6 p.m.
Thank you.
Midwest
Whew, it's a
time.
good thing I'm not in this alone.
Yeah.
I know, exactly.
So
Yes,
Tuesdays
Central
at 4
time.
p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we will go live on our Castro Country Club Facebook and YouTube channels.
Absolutely. And look for us at the CCC, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Also, please, it's been a long time since we got one of these, but leave us a voicemail on our speak pipe.
I know.
Oh.
The link is in the
We
description
want to hear your voice.
below.
Exactly.
Check out our
This is
pipe,
Speak
our
Pipe.
speak pipe.
I don't know anything
I know.
about
Email
this.
us at
Pipe?
I know
What the hell
exactly.
is a
Right.
speak pipe?
Email us at podcast@castrocountryclub.org. I know you think it's something.
I don't
Right,
know
right.
nothing about no speak pipe.
And,
I know about pipes.
right. That's again a whole nother episode.
That's another episode, and we're trying to stay away from
Did
pipes.
somebody say pipe?
No
And-
pipes?
and
No
don't-
pipes.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and follow us. And we'll see
Share.
you next week.
And
Share.
Thank you so
Yes.
much for
Share,
having
share,
me.
Thanks so much,
Yeah.
Lauren.
Fun.
Take care. Have a great
Thank
week,
you so much.
everybody.
Absolutely.
That's it.